February 21st, 2016. For those that have not had the pleasure of attending a Plan Commission meeting before, a couple of things to note. First of all, if you could silence your cell phones, it would be much appreciated. Second of all, once we're done with the roll and approval of the minutes, the way the agenda works is the city staff presents on the item, and then before we open it to public commentary, it's open just to the commission for technical questions. Once we're done with our questions, we open it up to the public. If you have something to say, we welcome you to step up to the microphone, and please state your name and address so we have it for the minutes, and please try to keep your comments as close to the subject matter as possible. Sometimes people have a tendency to wander a bit. Once public commentary is complete and everybody's had the opportunity to speak, we close it and come back to the commission for discussion, and then we vote. And then we move on to the next item. With that, let's call the roll.
David Boysak, Ed Bowen, Jeffrey Tomes, Thomas Whitehead.
Here.
John Hintz.
Here.
Steve Cummings.
Here.
Kathleen Prock.
Here.
Ben Frumenauer. Don Laurie. Here. Robert Weigert. Carl Nollenberger.
Here.
Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes from June 7th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions about the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? All right, moving on to item number 1, conditional use permit approval for an exception to the provisions of the downtown overlay district at 531 North Main Street, dealer socket.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit for an exception to the signage standards of the downtown overlay district to allow a hand-painted sign greater than 32 square feet in size to be placed higher than 18 feet above grade and above the second floor windowsill. The subject property is located on the 500 block of North Main Street. It is zone C3 in the downtown overlay with a commercial mixed use, and it is surrounded by mostly commercial and mixed uses. And here's an aerial view of the site. It includes a 3-story brick building, which is historically known as the Frank Percy Gun and Fur House. It was designed for Frank Percy's business by local architect E.E. Stevens and was constructed in 1900. It is a commercial vernacular building and has consistently been used for retail and service uses. And here is the sign that has been hand-painted onto the south facade of the subject sites. The sign has lettering which is roughly 4 feet high and runs about 30 feet up the building, along with a black bordering that runs about 45 feet up the building. In the application, the petitioner states that the building sign was intended to be consistent with the historical signage that had existed on this building and was designed to match the sign that had been on the same facade for Percy's Fur House in the early 1900s. And the petitioner also notes that the sign location is advantageous as it is highly visible for northbound traffic on Main Street. And here's a photo of the building from the 1920s. Which shows a sign very similar in size and style to what is on the building now for the dealer socket, and that is for the original use of the building, which was Percy's Fur and Gun House. And here's a view of the facade before the dealer socket sign was placed there. And because the sign is consistent with the history of the building, staff believes that the proposal meets the criteria for an exception to the downtown overlay standards, as the sign will help to preserve and restore the unique quality of the historic building, and it will also enhance the character and appearance of the historic building business district. And the Oshkosh Landmarks Commission has reviewed the proposal and feels that the sign is historically accurate and will not detract from, but would add to the historical character of the building. And staff recommends a finding that the proposed conditional use permit request for an exception to the signage standards of the downtown overlay district is consistent with with section 3011D of the zoning ordinance and be approved as proposed.
All right, thank you very much. Technical questions from the commission? Seeing none, anyone here from the public to speak to this item today? Going once? Twice? Okay, back to the commission.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Kathy?
I just want to say I think it's a sharp-looking sign, and I like it.
John?
I agree with Kathy. I just would have hoped that maybe they would have done the vertical lettering more in tune with how the historical sign that was on there. I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Any other commentary? Now let's call the vote.
Nollenberger.
Aye.
Hintz.
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Crop,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Forte.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, moving on, item number 2, public hearing on proposed creation of tax increment financing district number 29, the Morgan redevelopment, designation of boundaries, and approval of project plan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a big project for us that's being proposed. What we're proposing to do is create a tax incremental financing district, district number 29, identified as the Morgan redevelopment. It's on the south side of the river on generally what is the old Morgan door site. Recently gelled one, so you can see this particular area. We'll get into a little bit more maps in a little bit, but this is the area of the district. A little snapshot of what's in the TIF. It's a 36-acre TIF, tax increment district. It contains 14 parcels. The majority of the parcels are the gelled one, the Morgan door site. We have some city parcels in here, and then to round out the district, we included some of the residential parcels along 6th Avenue here. It is a blighted area TIF. It has a 27-year max life. The proposal that we're looking at, again, this is a proposal, it's a snapshot right now. This is the beginning of a process. This is their estimate at the time. But it's a $55 million redevelopment consisting of residential, commercial, retail, which includes, and we're going to talk about that today, phase 1 is a mixed-use building. $38.8 million in project expenditures, about $26 million in Pago development incentives, $5.7 million to complete the Riverwalk in that area, another $6 million, $7 million in public infrastructure, streets, that kind of stuff. Morgan District will be accomplished in 5 phases. Again, that's depending on market conditions. We'll go over that a little bit. Phase 1 is the mixed-use building, 120 units with a grocery store. I think it's about 35,000 square foot. Component Fresh City Market. Those folks are here tonight to give us a little presentation about what they're proposing. That's valued at about $23 million. Phase 2 would be offices. That's on the east side of Oregon Street, and that's about $8.6 million. Phase 3, residential units, about 156 units in various buildings. Phase 4 is waterfront condos. That's over towards the Boatworks property. And then Phase 5 is another 108 residential units. Morgan District project expenditures, development incentives, big part of the TIF, as you can read, is development incentives. Riverwalk, that's another big part of our expenditures in the district. Street projects, Oregon, Minnesota, Iowa, West 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then administrative costs. The Morgan District is compliant with the C3 PD zoning. No changes are required in the zoning ordinance. However, because it's a planned development has to come back here for further review. So this is just the first step. If this gets approved, they move forward to step 2, and that begins actual planning, physical engineering, the things that we see with the planned development, your swatches that you like to see, stuff like that. It's consistent with the 2005 comprehensive plan identifying the area for mixed downtown development. It's consistent with the 93 comp plan. I opened that up today, and we did talk about that. It's consistent with the Lens to Be Pioneers Riverfront Visioning Project. We looked at some of the project maps, and in this particular area, most of the people settle on condos, housing, mixed use. And that's consistent with the Vision Report 2009. Why TIF? The project will only support X amount of private debt, and coupled with the equity creates a gap of approximately $12 million. The TIF will be used to monetize that gap over time. The cash flow analysis with and without TIF, Site 1, which is the one that they're going for straight away, the first site, you get a negative return of about 10.31% without TIF. This is the without TIF numbers. This is the with TIF numbers. So without TIF, it's -10. With TIF, it's -4. Still not really a great development investment immediately. Site 2 is 0.77%, and then it's 14%. Site 3 is -4, then up to 6%. Site 4, 7.8%, up to 15. and that's the condos. Then Site 5 is -2%, and with TIF, again, it's 7.86%. So you can see the reason why they're requesting TIF is to help bring in additional equity into the project. So what they do is monetize that TIF note, and they borrow off that, they bring the extra equity into the project. That reduces their overall debt service costs. So it turns these numbers to these numbers. TIF is being requested to move to the next step of the developing plans to move forward with Phase 1, and we'll get a little bit more into Phase 1 in a little bit. Plan development review for the entire site is based on the concept plan, so we're starting with that concept plan, but we still have to come back through and get plan development review as we move forward with phases. We also would have to negotiate development agreements moving forward, and all these maps are going to be up here in a minute. That's an aerial. This is kind of an aerial snapshot of what the area looks like right now. Kind of a bird's eye showing what's there. This is we were looking around, found some old pictures, and this is what we typically deal with along the riverfront. You have a lot of old industrial. You're going off of 150 years of industrial along the river. In this particular area, this is a swampy lowland, so you're going to be dealing with some bad soil issues. We had one from 1910, or see this shows, this is Campbell Creek coming through here at one time, so this would be where Geldwin is, or Morgan Door. This is a low-lying swamp area, so you're going to be dealing with a lot of poor soils over time. And again, 150 years plus of industrial development. This is the parcel list, showing what the parcels are in the district. Again, here are the city parcels over here, the Morgan, Geldwin site, and then the residential parcels in here. This is the area, this is the map from the TIF plan showing the areas being blighted and then area in need of rehabilitation. We threw the houses in here because just in case this, we can do a couple things. We've talked about doing mini Pago TIFs with housing to maybe spruce up the houses as projects move forward, or potentially you could do an acquisition and put some more multiple family in this area. It just gives us some flexibility. This is the land use plan for the area. So you can see we're showing commercial offices along here, mixed use, which is that grocery store in here, residential in here, and then this would be where the city is institutional. I mean, we have a boat launch there and some things going on. Oh, and the one big thing that is not getting talked about enough is the plan will help us complete the Riverwalk in this area. So we've been working with a developer. They provided us the necessary easements to move forward with completing the Riverwalk. Here's just the concept plan, the thing that's on the board over there. Again, you're showing 2 commercial buildings in here. Here's the big one, Site 1, which is the mixed use. I forget how many units are in there right now. And then you're seeing it transition into other residential styles, and the developer can kind of talk a little bit about the individual styles. This is how it's going to be phased. So you got Phase 1, which is the mixed use building. Phase 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 is the kind of the townhouse condo style. This is a rendering of Phase 1, the mixed use building. So you can see the grocery store component on the front. This would be looking off of, I believe we're looking off of Jackson, or off of Jackson, off of 6th Avenue right here. So, with that being said, I mean, we're recommending approval of the creation of this TIF district based on the findings that we've included in the plan. If you notice, we're using a new format for the TIF plans. We hired Ehlers to do the TIF plan. Todd Taves is here from Ehlers to write the TIF plans. They're our financial consultant, so we work with them on actually developing the development agreements, things like that. So they actually worked with us on developing the project plan. So with that, we're recommending approval of the plan as proposed.
All right, technical questions from the commission. Kathy, you go first.
The 6 or 7 private properties that are included, is there any downside to the property owners from being included in this?
No, there's more upside to the property owners, because if we can get enough, like I said, we've been trying to create these mini Pagos in residential neighborhoods where we see other things happening in that district, so we could potentially again, create a mini Pago to do some rehab programming on those houses, or, you know, if things go great.
Hard time hearing back here if we're supposed to be able to.
Isn't that on? Is the microphone on?
Well, it's probably for TV, but not for...
Oh, no. Now, can you hear me? There we go.
Okay, then start again.
Okay.
Start again with my question about private property and whether there's a downside to be included.
From a tip perspective, there's not a downside, there's more of an upside, because if you're a property owner in this district and we've made development incentives available to you, you can take advantage of getting those developments. So our idea was you could potentially apply and maybe do a mini Pago, do a rehab of your property to kind of to spruce it up if you need it, and that will add value. The other thing that they have going for them potentially is if the market is hot enough and strong enough in this area, the developer or somebody could get together, want to acquire those properties, and then you could put a mix. You could put some type of townhouse style development on it.
So what is a mini Pago? People don't know.
It would be an individual. A Pago is where you could do a rehab on your house, and what we would do is your house is going to be increasing in value. You're going to be generating some more taxes off the increased value of your house. What we could do is provide you a grant based on the anticipated future value of the improvements. So say you're going to improve your house by $10,000, we could give you X amount of grant dollars to fix it up. We're still...
So then that would help them. It may not pay for the entire fix-up cost, but it would pay for enough that would be a good incentive.
The big concern has always been that, okay, I'm going to put $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in my house. I won't be able to afford the increased property tax value that I have to pay for it, and this can offset that a little bit. It's only for a brief amount of time.
Okay.
Other technical questions from members of the commission? Okay. Technical questions are closed. Anybody here from the public to speak to this item? If you choose to do so, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address again. Come on up, sir.
Hello, William Carey, 247 West 6th. I have some questions. Could I link to this sign?
Sure. Speak loudly so we hear you.
Okay. We've got the property, the center house right here on 6th. Now, I see there's a grocery store coming in here, and that's great. I'm wondering about the traffic. I see, is this a road or an easement coming in to access this? And will there be a traffic light here? And what does that do for the traffic here?
That's a road coming in.
Is this going to be a raised area with trees, a site break, or am I just going to look at a parking lot like Walmart? Thank you.
Sure. Next. Come on up, Gary.
Well, there's a lot of things. Do they update the houses on the other 96th Street?
Hello, Gary Gray, 815 West Linwood. I have several questions in regards to the proposed TIF district. Okay, the draft proposal shows a map that is labeled preliminary map. I am assuming that preliminary is actually the actual map.
What?
That's on page 5. The map is labeled preliminary map, not actual map. A preliminary, in my definition, is initial that could be changed.
Boy, everything's preliminary in here, correct.
So I guess the question is, what is the Plan Commission going to approve? Is it going to approve a preliminary map and then come back and approve a final map?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Second question. It seemed like this TIF district overlays another TIF district. TIF District 20. Does that mean that District 20 needs to be amended to change the boundaries?
No, that's not. It's an overlay of the district. So all the new value in TID 29 goes into TID 29, and 20 gets frozen.
Okay, so all the increment goes to 29, and nothing to...
The new
20.
increment, correct.
Okay. Okay, the 6 lots were probably dealt with. There's a schedule in the draft on page 8, which is the valuation test compliance. And one of the column headings I don't understand. It's called valuation data estimated creation date. And there's a whole series of numbers down there. I was wondering, since our financial consultant is here, he could perhaps explain what that is.
Page 8, the series of...
Page 8,
Right
the last column.
Valuation data established creation date, it says.
I think it would be important for the commissioners to understand what that is.
Todd, the right-hand column, it's the increment value in each of the districts, is it not?
Where it says increment of existing kids, that is the current value as of January 1st, 2015 of each existing district. So the rule is that all of the existing incremental value within your districts, where would you like me to go?
Come on over here.
Oh, okay.
The rule is that the existing value of all your tax incremental districts, so the increments that's been created to date, plus the base value of the proposed new district, that cannot exceed 12% of the city's overall equalized value. So what this indicates is, based on current valuation, the city could have up to about $450 million in TIF incremental value. With this proposed district, you're estimated to have about 246,000. So there's still about a $200 million margin that would be available. So in other words, you would be in compliance with that statutory test.
Yeah, my question wasn't objecting to whether or not it meets the 12%. I wasn't sure on what the last column was. Also, I would suggest that the city would update these figures to the 2016 numbers, because I believe the assessed values came out a week from yesterday, and I think it could be more useful to have more current information. Okay, moving on. Yeah. Is there going to be any kind of site preparation that the city needs to be, that needs to be paid by the city?
Site preparation for what in particular?
For demolition, for pollution, contamination.
Only with respect to the Riverwalk, where we're doing the Riverwalk activity. The other stuff that's being done on site, that's being done by the developer.
Oh, okay. 2 last points. One, I would suggest that there would be development of 2 or 3 options on how financing can be done on this. I realize it's not a plan commission objective, but I think it would be helpful for the common council to understand the various options on how to fund the expected expenses that will not be covered by a TIF increment, which is about $12 million. And in regards to the street improvements and the Riverwalk, there are many possible ways to finance this, and I think if the council would have the options to take a look at, they can select the most efficient, the frankly cheapest way to do this. The last point I wanted to make is one of the street improvements is Ohio Street from the Fox River to 6th Street, or actually 100 feet south of 6th Street. I would suggest perhaps consideration of street improvements being extended to 8th Street, adding those 2 additional blocks to Oregon street improvement. And the reason I'm suggesting that is that in the current 5-year capital improvement plan, there are proposed projects to do Oregon Street over 2 or 3 years, I think beginning in 2017 or 2018, from 8th Street to 28th Street, and it doesn't seem sensible to me that we as a city should skip those 2 blocks. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Anyone else here to speak to this item today? Come on up, sir.
Ken Voss, I live at 507 West 4th, and I was wondering, is 4th Street going to go through to 6th and Iowa? Is that going to be a through street?
I don't think that's not set yet. That has not been determined yet. That's still, I mean, when I said that they have to come back for a overall plan development approval, that discussion still needs to be had. What do we cul-de-sac 4th over there? How do we connect up? So that still needs to come back as a discussion point. We put it in the TIF plan for a potential reconstruction to have it as an activity that could be covered in the future.
Okay. The other question I have is, I live right across the street from the big building where they had the garbage trucks.
Okay.
And can you tell me what that area is going to be used for?
Right now, we have it for parking for I think that area is going to be clear for the future, kind of like a park extension over there. Those buildings were supposed to come down. I thought we were going to have parking for the trail. I think there's a boat launch over there now, a kayak launch. So it's going to be more public.
And the dock, too?
I'm not sure about the docks. I'd have to check with the community development director, but I think that's the intent, is that's a more public use over there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, come on up, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Ranke. I live at 333 West 6th Avenue. Some of my questions you answered partially, so I wanted to start with the access and egress. Where's the traffic going to be as we're trying to get out of our driveways? Where will these people be pulling into their parking lots?
Well, the traffic, if you look at which one am I? I mean, this is going to be the main access into the site. This is Minnesota, right? Minnesota. So this will be the main access, so it'll be coming through here. This would be the... light there? No, there wouldn't be a light there. Not unless it's traffic warranted, and the trips that are being generated on. We could always do a traffic demand model on it, but I don't think you're going to generate enough trips to warrant a light at this. But this is going to be the main entrance into it. Now, when we just had the discussion, what do we do on the west side here? I think that still is going to have to come back for some future consideration.
Okay. With tax money for street repair, will those owners be paying a fair share for street repairs, because there will be a lot of extra traffic going through our blocks, and there's going to be extra wear and tear on the streets?
That is, we're going to handle things normally through our normal assessment policy. However the city decides to assess it, if they assess it as a commercial street or as a residential street, I don't have that. I don't have that information right now. Would you have anything on that, Todd? No, it's again, we'll handle it through our normal assessment policy. We'll use the TIF to the extent that we can to offset some of those costs.
Okay, thank you. You talked about the possibility of acquiring some of the residential homes, possibly for the expansion. Is that just those homes that were marked, those few homes
that would just be in here, because that just rounds out the district. So you have a straight line across here. So.
Okay, so we live on the other side of the street. Mm-hmm. When you were talking about the possibility of grant money being available for neighbors to repair and fix up their homes in the area, is that going to extend to homes across the street, or is that just in that area?
Well, right now it's for anything that's within the district, so we'd have to extend the district boundaries. Now, we do have other funds out there for housing rehab that we could talk to you about if you fall into those qualifications for those programs. So we'd love to talk to you about that if there is a general need in that neighborhood. The other thing that if there's people here from the south side of 6th Avenue in that area, you know, if we can create a neighborhood association, that then opens up for more housing rehabilitation programs. So I think, you know, we can talk about that, but we'd have to extend the boundaries. But there are other programs that we have. Just talk to us. We'll see if we can find a product that works for you.
All right. I think that was all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next. Anyone else? Okay.
Hi, I'm Paulette Feld. I live at 416 West Fifth Avenue. My question has to do with the street improvements. Our block is the last block of Fifth Avenue that has to be repaired. It's scheduled for next summer. And I'm wondering, with this development, is this going to be delayed? Is this going to be made a bigger project? And also, if Fifth becomes a busier street, my question is, will that increase our responsibility toward those improvements?
Well, there's nothing's moving right now with respect to the CIP. Anything that's in the CIP is still moving forward at where it was supposed to be. This is a mechanism for if we need to figure out a way to pay for some of those improvements, offset some of those costs, we can use TIF to that extent. So we're able to capture some of that value. Fifth Avenue, I don't see Fifth with this development. Fifth Avenue shouldn't. 6th Avenue is going to be your main.
Okay.
Be your main access in Oregon Street, and it's set up for that. Any other street, 5th, 4th, those are simply locals. You're going to get some traffic.
Well, it's not just locals on 5th.
But it's going to be, no, we consider them local streets versus a collector or an arterial. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paulette. Gentlemen?
Hi, Nicholas Lang, 1950 White Swan Drive.
Grant Schwab, 4006 Stonegate Drive.
And Peter Lang, 2300 White Swan Drive.
So we started this project in February of 2012. Worked on it for about a year before we closed on the property in March of 2013. So this has been a general plan that we've been working towards for the last 3 years. I think it's important at tonight's meeting to remember that landscaping concerns, building concerns, and some of those things really aren't going to be addressed until we have to go through yet another Plan Commission meeting to approve those. So, and we've been really diligent working with the city over this time to get the best what planning feels for this site, how the Riverwalk, we can open up the site to the Riverwalk and to community residents. So, I can say it, but I think Darren and Alan and Mark Roloff can say that we've really been trying to be very communicative and work on this site to open it back up to the public. It's been a private industry, as you all know. I mean, a private site since 1870, I think, is when Morgan moved to this site. So to open up 27 acres in the center of the city and have the Riverwalk extend through, we're all residents of Oshkosh, and we're excited about it as well. So.
Would you mind answering a few questions for me? Folks, commissioners? Gabby?
It's not your fault, but I didn't get my packet until about 1:45 this afternoon. And so I'd read some of the stuff online, but we did not get a nice map like this. So until I got here just now, I haven't seen this concept plan. We've got a little dark one in the middle. So would one of you come over here and walk us through, come off of 6th near Minnesota and describe what you've got here on the concept plan?
Sure. When you come off 6th here, we try to make this our main entrance.
If you can stand over here, then the audience can see you.
The audience.
Or Kathy, would it be easier to use this up here?
Whatever, whichever works.
That way you can. It's bigger. That way you can use that.
Either.
I'll just use my hand.
Your finger will.
You're going to be in the way of that.
Well, all right. So where's the little clicker here?
Right on the backside.
All right. So coming down 6th, this would be our main entrance in. You'd have 2 lanes in right there and 2 lanes out, and that is where we want the majority of the traffic to come in, is right in here. So then when you came in, you could go into here, which would be
the grocery store, which would be built in front of the apartments as we have it planned. Then the apartments would be behind. This whole first floor of this would be a parking deck, so it would be all covered parking, and the apartments would start up above. They'd be a U-shaped, so you'd have views, all the apartments would have views down the river. There would be, on the second floor, since it's U-shaped right there, a big outdoor patio for the residents to use. Then, as we start to fill that up, then we have plans for another building here and here for apartments. That would be probably 3 or 4 stories as well. As we move to the west, we have these slated for condos up here, and these are more townhouse-style, higher-end apartments. Over here, our plan would be to do office buildings once we get this up and going.
Okay. What type of housing in your first unit apartments? Subsidized housing?
No, these would all be
market
market rate apartments.
So we have no plans for low-income housing at this point? That's the question.
Say that again?
There are no plans for low-income housing
okay.
on this side of the river.
Other questions from the commissioners for the developer? Donna?
It looks as if you have edged down Oregon and 6th with shrubs. Is that, am I interpreting the map correctly?
Yeah, it's one of those things, though, as we go further. I mean, this is kind of the first kick at the can, and as we keep going, we'll have to come back before you for final plans. We had to leave extra space around here because at some point there's a possibility that the bridge might expand, but so there is a little bit more green space. The thing to keep in mind, too, when you look at this map is this site is so big. Like, I think they were saying, like, between, like, this building and this building right there, it's like 90 feet. Okay. I mean, this is such a huge site. It might even be like 120 feet.
Am I correct in interpreting that those are parking lots there? Or tell me...
Yes, we're going to have enough space to park basically one unit, one car per apartment unit underground, and then we're going to have surface parking as well.
Okay. Well, the point is that I'm a great green person, and trees, everybody has their idea about what a tree is. I like great big trees. So it looks like a beautiful plan. Just keep in mind that I'm very aware as I'm riding around the city that I don't like to look at parking lots.
I don't blame you.
I would rather look at greenery and something that is very attractive to the residents as well as those passing through. So as you move forward, please keep in mind.
Yeah, for instance, when we got our first plan back, they had this area right there as a parking lot, and we went back to the architect and said, there's no riverfront parking. You need to make that a park and put more green space on it. And he was actually happy. He said, normally people we work with try to get as much concrete, so I'm very happy you guys are taking into account the landscaping. I mean, we have every intention to make this the best project. We're all local. We feel that this is a generational site. We're lucky. We've been very diligent about, we had plans, we pulled them back. We had plans, we pulled them back. We just don't want to do a project. We want to do the perfect project.
It looks good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the developer from the
one more.
Go ahead, Kat.
I'm monopolizing, but you said that's a public park area?
Yeah.
That
so it would be
ground patio?
Yeah, because the city's going to have the river walk that's going to go this way. So yeah, I mean, this would be a park area that would be right off the river walk.
But right now there's no boat launch. There's not a boat launch portion to this. That's on the west.
Yep, that's
west of your property.
Yeah, that's way up there. Is that a kayak launch?
The kayak launch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but that's not included in your project.
No, that is not. It's included in the TID or the TID that Darren put up, but that is not included as part of our project.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are there any transient docks set up?
There isn't. It's something we would like to work with the DNR on.
Like a 28-foot offshore, I'd like to be able to.
Yeah, we have to.
So how use that? Otherwise, there's nowhere to park it.
No, you can park right now over here.
Well, yeah.
Those are transient. It's probably not as convenient, but yeah, we want to work with the DNR to get transient docks, and we've talked to them, and we're allowed. I forget how many.
By statute, I think we're allowed 34 or 38 docks by our linear footage. And those would be docks that initially we would probably try to have for let associated with the condos. Transient docks in the sense of what the city would install. At this point, we're not proposing any city-funded transient docks. I think the city probably feels that they have enough transient docking in this section of the river.
But we do want to maximize.
We will have docks available for people to pull up, provided that we can arrive at an arrangement with the city to attach.
We've been members of Oshkosh Boat Club for a number of years. One of the issues is you bring a boatload of people to enjoy this area. You know where to park your boat, and if it is, it'd be nice to be able to plug it in. And not have to worry about somebody ransacking your stuff.
We've talked to the Parks Department about that, about even the docks on the opposite side of the river, because boaters like yourself that go to different areas to boat, they want the power hookups, they want the amenities that those docks have. So, you know, our hope is to maximize as many docks as we can on this site, you know, obviously having the grocery store component as well. You know, Oshkosh is, I don't think people always think about it, but we have the most accessible, we have most miles of coastline. You know, you can be on this water in a 14-foot boat or a 40-foot boat. It's pretty exceptional, and with the Riverwalk going in, you can't get any better. So,
Thank you, guys. Anything else from you?
I think did you have the grocery store?
Yeah.
We have Jeff Mauer, the grocery store operator. If you guys want to talk to him, or he can give a presentation on what he's doing, I think you'll see the product that he's going to deliver is exactly what a downtown grocery store is and what everybody has in mind.
Come on up, sir. We would love to hear from you.
Jeff.
Sir. All right.
All right. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, my name is Jeff Mauer, and I own Fresh City and Fresh Madison Market. The Madison store, of course, is on the UW campus, right downtown, about 3 blocks north of the Kohl Center. And we also own a store that we opened up last year on the Purdue's campus. We're currently working on a number of, sorry, I didn't know I was pushing this. We're working on a number of other campus locations and high-density locations around the country to bring a small store format to various communities, and not only on campus locations, but anywhere that could be high density, and that's certainly what we think this Morgan project is here in Oshkosh. It's a high density, certainly close to the campus, which is a major attraction for us as well. We enjoy catering to and serving the campus population of the students, the faculty, and the people that live around it. Just a couple of quick pictures that we put together for this commission or this committee, so they give you a little bit of flavor as to how we do things. In both of our locations, we are in a multi-use building. Madison is 14 stories, 900 beds above us, and Purdue is 6 stories and about 500 beds above us. So we're very accustomed to working in a multi-use building with underground parking or off-street parking somewhere, as well as using elevators to move product from a second floor kitchen to the first floor, which we have in both locations. A big part of this is a floor plan that we're developing for another campus location where we have a letter of intent for this Big Ten campus. And we're going to do a little bit more food service than what we traditionally have been doing, providing more ready-to-eat meals to go. That's why the idea of a transient docking would be very advantageous for us to try to attract those boaters and provide them a place where they can buy quality food and beverages and either consume it on site or take it back to their boats. These particular pictures are of Purdue, 17-foot ceilings, so it's a very open feeling. It's only 20,000 square feet. The site we have here in Oshkosh is about 25,000 square feet, so it's actually going to be larger. But the presence of a lot of windows and a high ceiling give the impression that it's actually much larger than what it is. That's intentional, because we really are trying to build a smaller store so that we don't have quite the footprint that most grocers would want. And that also means a parking lot. We don't want a real large parking lot either. We have an online shopping system that works very well in both of our stores, so customers can shop from their home, office, or dorms. We deliver it to them. We also have a very vibrant delivery system where people shop in the store, we deliver to them for free within 2 hours. We're really trying to encourage people to walk, ride a bike, take the bus, and not use their own transportation to come to the store. Let us do that for you. We have a very successful catering program where we cater off-site, both on campus and off-campus. It's all scratch food, scratch bakery, as well as deli. So it's very high quality. We hire, we have chefs in both of our locations trying to prepare the best quality foods we can for the best prices. We are also a Caribou franchisee in Purdue. It's our intention to offer a Caribou franchise here in Oshkosh as well. Very large emphasis on fresh produce, especially locally grown whenever it's available during that time of the year. Very large commitment towards produce. Fresh produce is extremely important to our customers. I've been in the business myself 40 years. I'm fortunate enough to have my daughter join me about 5 years ago in the business, and she is my retirement plan. So she, I'm working very hard to train her. Can we use her too? I'm sorry?
Can we use her too?
No. I'm very selfish. I'm very fortunate because a lot of grocers my age that are getting closer to retirement don't have that luxury of having the next generation coming behind them. So we're working very hard to train Christy, get her ready, and so that she can take over the business for me at the appropriate time. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Murdock, did I hear you correctly? You say that people can order food and you will free deliver the groceries? Did you say free delivery groceries?
There's two different programs. You can shop online, like an Amazon. I hate to use that analogy, but like an Amazon, you can shop online, we would deliver it to you. Or you can shop in the store, and we would deliver it to you within 2 hours for no cost. So that you can walk or ride a bike, or in your particular case, if you don't have a transportation, if you wanted to have us delivered for you later, we would do that.
I carry another hat that I'm not wearing right now, but I'm interested in that I represent aging and disability people. Mm-hmm. And we are right now trying to get home delivery for those people. So you bring up a very interesting thought.
In both of our locations, we're doing a lot with the aging population in both of our communities that we serve. A lot of them will shop online. Some of them don't have access to the internet, so we actually have an 800 number where people can call in an order, and we'll shop it, we'll deliver it.
I'm happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Just a few more, and I think all these pictures are within your packet. I also have some handouts if you need those as well. Happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for the grocery store guy? Kathy?
Just a comment. My granddaughter frequents the fresh market
in Madison. Good, thank you.
And she loves it.
Thank you.
So, and it looks superb.
Thank you.
Excited.
We have two siblings live in Shorewood, and one of your competitors is copying you very closely down there, and it's a very nice concept.
Thank you. We're very fortunate to have that location. It's very unique. There isn't, most campuses don't have a grocery store like ours. Most of them are serviced by a Walgreens, a CVS, those types of outlets, which tend to be very expensive. So we're very fortunate to have the space. We love working with the campus population of the residents that live around it, the faculty and the staff, as well as the students.
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience here to speak to this item today? Okay, that's the close of public commentary. And back to the commission for discussion and a vote. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl.
I'll move for approval of the project plan and boundaries for TIF District 29 as proposed.
Second.
I'd just like to make a comment. I appreciated Kathy's question about the private housing, and I appreciated your answer about that too, because I think that was my one question coming in.
Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Okay, call the roll.
Nolenberger,
Aye.
Hens,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Crop,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Forte.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-0.
Good luck, folks. All right, with that, can we adjourn?
Adjourn.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have a workshop.